Well, I don't know how much of that recorded, but we're doing a Intek H520, and my new memory card didn't seem to just make contact. This is a customer set, and we're just deciding what voltage it should be supposed to be. I'll play safe and we'll do 12.8. Doesn't say it's 13.8, so we'll go as high as I dare. So we've plugged it into the vehicle adapter, which is screwed onto the back. There's a switch in the back to switch between nickel metal hydride batteries, in which case it's 7.2 volts, or alkaline batteries, in which case it's 9 volts. And if you're using it with the vehicle adapters, you have to take one of the batteries out, or you're going to end up cooking them. So, we're on one of these cigarette lighters, so it's going to be on and off all the time. This bench isn't set up for cigarette lighters. One of the other benches is, but all the other benches are dismantled because of the building work taking place here. We weren't going to do any CB repairs this year at all while we were underway with the building work and the organ, but we did, so this is now a millstone around my neck. So we're plugged in through the umbilical cord, and we'll put it on channel 20 UK. If I could work how to do that, we'll switch picture and picture on. Wow, I'm clever today. And let's see what it's actually drawing. Wow, I'm right. It's 1.3 amps. And it's doing 2.4 watts. Now, I'm going to make a note of this with it being a customer set, because we don't want to fix it worse, do we? What a lovely phrase. I've got a piece of paper left over from a church service with some strawberries on it. Intek H520 plus. So TX, what did I say it was doing? Because whatever it's doing now is 2.4 watts. Deviation. Oh, we were doing CPT last, weren't we? 1 2 1 2 1. Where's the mic on this? It's there. 1 1. My goodness. Deviation equals 1.4 kilohertz, which is dreadful. Although we were going to be doing the AM part of this, I'm not really bothered about what it was doing before, but we will look at sensitivity. I'm not sure we can adjust sensitivity. It's some time since I looked at one of these, but I would think not. So we'll just dial in the receive frequency, 27.79125. I did switch this on about 15 minutes ago, so it's not quite ready to do accurate frequency adjustments, even if you can even do that on this set. So let's see how it's doing. Sign of meter on. We need to be able to plug in the extension speaker. Hopefully that hole in the top does exactly that. Yep. That then enables us to do a cyanide reading. And for 12 dB, let's put a bit more volume on it. I think the AGC on the meter is struggling. About there. So it's 0. That's atrocious. It's 3 microvolts. Has this got some kind of RF gain on? So let's run through the top connector instead. And it is different. It's 1.8. So what's the output power on that connector? Less. If I hold the connector, it's doing 1 microvolt for 12 dB. So let's cross all that out, re-evaluate it. 1.5678. It is 1.8, and if you hold it, it's 1 microvolt. How weird. Well, it does say a handheld, so you have to hand hold it. You see that? Hold it. Brilliant. Don't hold it. Not brilliant. Okay. Right, we'll get it opened up. I'll disconnect the power. I have to say that these days. I've had comments in the past, oh, you shouldn't be opening that up without disconnecting the power. Well, I have disconnected the power. I just haven't said so. It's like doing a driving test, isn't it? I'm looking in the mirror. So I want a small screwdriver. And then we'll open the service manual. I've never managed to buy one of these. The last one of these we did was a customer's. But this customer said we can do a field test with this, so that's good. So we will. Subject to weather. So we've got to undo the power connector to open it up. Ah, you do. Right, we'll get the manual opened up. I think from now on we have to do everything from the crocodile clips and the top connector. So we need to set this to alkaline, and power it as 9 volts. See what it says in the manual. You know what? It's got 3 RF power settings, 0.1 watt, 1 watt and 4 watt in AM and FM. That's really useful because there are times when you really do only want 100 milliwatts, and it really is going to save batteries like that. Just spotted that. Well, I've got to page 12. 14. Oh, what's it supposed to do? No, it shows 20 dB, so it's not as sensitive as you think. So 1 microvolt for 12 dB is not as bad as I thought. Okay, so where's all the pages with the how to adjust it? I'm going to have to watch my own video on this, aren't I? Oh, look at the owner's manual. So, how come all the circuits are in here? Well, I'm going to have to, I'll pause the video and we'll go and look at this. Okay, so the customer wants this optimizing for all 80 channels available in the UK, which means we'll have to do this on channel 1 of UK or channel 40 of CPT. So, first of all, we need to connect this thing up. So we need to apply 9 volts. Yeah. Nine there, and we need to allow up to 1.7 amps. There. So we switch to alkaline, otherwise it's 7.2 volts. It's a bit clumsy because it would be nice if you could connect the umbilical cord with the lids off, but you can't. Best thing with the negative is to connect it to that battery spring, but you can't get to the other one easily, so I'll have to connect it up there. There we go, we're powered up. So, we'll go back to the power meter, we'll do transmit first. and we'll stay in the 3 watt scale. Now last time we did one of these we managed to get 3.5 watts, so I'm going to tune up. Well, first of all we're going to have to put this on channel 1. So normally we're going to do it in the centre of the UK band, which is channel 20, obviously. With him wanting all 80 channels, we have to do it in channel 1 of the UK band, or channel 40 of the CPT band, but it's in the centre. So, because channel 40 of CPT is 27.405, I think, or is it 465, something like that. And then channel 1 of UK is 27.60125. So that's why we're choosing channel 1. So without touching it, needs to be a contortionist to work this and have it powered up like this. So it's now doing 2.567, 2.7 and a bit. So it's a little bit more on the CPT at the bottom of the band. So we need to just pop through these two. It's the 200 series trimmers, which are these two. No change, no change. So the power is RV501, which is here. Change scales, so we're now at 3 watts. So this one will do 3.6. So I'm not setting it to full because it'll only do 3.6 and a tiny bit at full, but it'll take a lot more current and it's thrashing the radio. So I'll just look at what current we're drawing. Yeah, it's 1.653, so it's higher than they were expecting. Anyway, that's where we're set. So that's the power done. And then we need to do the deviation. And we really need to bring that up a long way. The deviation is 701, which is somewhere here. I can't even see it. Well, it's not shown there in the manual. That must be it, though. So we'll just give that a whistle test now. This is going to be interesting because it's picking a radio up that's connected. One well over the top there. Need to bring that back down. Let's try it at that point. One, that's it. That's where we want it. So deviation on this set is next to the frequency set control. We'll do that next. The test set's been on long enough. $27,601.2 in a little bit. So we'll just trim that up fractionally. So we're looking for 27,601.25, and there we are, toggling 6, which is ideal. Now we're going to have to reset this for CPT channels. Oh, before we do that, we'll set the power meter on the actual radio, which you can do because it's a real power meter. It's RV201, which is that one just there. So let's key it up. Do you have to make this go into power meter or something? Wallow. At the moment it's showing wallow. It's showing transmitted deviation. So we take the bleep off. Mod. That's now to power. It's in the menu, you see. If I got that right. Yeah, I have. So it's reading the, I'll just see where we are with that bar graph. It's reading the whole lot. There we go. That's now. It was well over the top. It's still reading the same, but it was really over the top. So let's see what the other power levels are actually doing. So go into menu. So 0.1 of a watt. I think you've got to. So that's doing 400 milliwatts. $1 he's doing 1 watt. And 4 watts he's doing 3.6. So 1 watt is drawing 930 milliamps. Oops, we've got to be in the menu. And 0.1 watt is drawing 630 milliamps. Which is a lot of power, isn't it, for nothing, for not a lot. Whoops, it's timed out. We'll go back into. There we go. That should be back to normal. Just let that feature time out. There we go. So that's set the meter. So now we're going to have to go into AM mode. So to do that, well, what is it? If the UK is being programmed, hold this key for 2 seconds. There we go. Yep, absolutely right. So we need to go to channel 40 of CPT. We'll see what the power's doing now in high. 3.6 the same. And are we allowed to go into AM without reprogramming it? No, I'm gonna press the wrong button. The answer is no. So we're going to have to reprogram this for a different country, aren't we? So what country is going to allow us to do that? it was before we were allowed AM. So if we put it to Spain, or can we put it to CE? EU should give us that, so how do we do this? Turn the radio off. Press and keep press the menu button, switching on. And we want it in EU mode, and then what? Shortly press the menu button. Okay, so now we'll go to channel 40 and it's AM. It's currently in 1 watt, so we need to change that. It won't allow that. So back to what country allows 4 watts of AM? I wasn't expecting that either. So we'll try if it's got the SP mode. So try again. See whether it does it in E1. Now that's giving us 4 watts of AM, which is what we're looking for. So pop it up to channel 40 again. And key up. It's actually doing 3.5 watts. Yeah, which is about where we were. So we'll do the modulation. So let's just look where that is. I'll need to retune the set, so the test set. So we'll just do that. 1 2 wallow. So 1 2 wallow, and that is 90%. So it doesn't need adjusting, which is excellent. We've actually not had to do something. But if we did need to adjust it, it's RV702. So it's the second from the right. The one on the right is the power. The one next to it on the left is AM mod 702. So that's absolutely fine. So we'll now go back to UK channels. And we want UK channel 1, which is exactly where we were. So what does that leave us to do? Well, it leaves us to look at whether we can improve that receive. Because theoretically you've got 103 and 102, which we can adjust. So we'll tune it up on channel 1 for 2760125. This is why we charge different levels as to whether people want UK only and whether they want to access AM, because it's more of a faff, isn't it? 60125. Let's look at that cyanide meter, and we'll plug in the external test equipment into the socket. Okay, so that should now access the cyanide meter, which it is doing. So see whether we can adjust that, or whether it's me not reading the circuit right. So 102. That's not the right tool. So that was already at peak. So we'll now look at the other one. Oh, that was well out. So now it is 0.85 of a microvolt for 12 decibel cyanide. Where's my pen going? So 0.85 for 12 dB cyanide. Now for 20, which they were harping on about, we get 1.2. Because if we go into PD mode on this test set, it'll give a better result, and that's cheating. But you don't know how they're expressing this. So in PD mode, it's 0.65 microvolts for 20 dB. We don't use that, but they might. They haven't expressed which way we're reading it. So that's greatly improved the receiver. And now we need to look at the S meter. So 100 microvolts on the test set. Let's see what the S meter is actually reading. If we actually manage to keep the power on. So it's reading S5, so it's what you'd say was a lazy meter. Let's turn that volume down a bit. It's getting a bit microphonic, to be honest. So the S meter is RV102. So I've got to kind of adjust that. It's the one on the right of the two at the top, whilst looking at the radio the other way. There we have S9. So we turn it down, turn it up. That's calibrated as I want it. So if I now turn up the test set, it will go to plus 30 and it will go down accordingly. So that's good. You know, it's nice to have a modern radio that we can adjust the RF power output meter and the S meter. So let's see where the squelch is. That's RV101. So I'm going to put the signal generator down a bit. We'll turn the squelch to full. Now I like the signal generator to be able to come through at S9. So 3, 10, 30, 100 microvolts. I'd expect the signal generator to be in. And it's not. So I want to just improve that, in my view. And I need to adjust RV101 to do that. And that's the one up in that corner by the looks of it. There we are. That's exactly where I want it to be. I'm not touching auto squelch, but just for the record, let's see where that is. It's coming in, it's fine. It's coming in at 2 microvolts and it's going at 1.5 microvolts. So that's fine in a bit noisier environment. Let's look at the squelch sensitivity. So I'm going to switch the test set to standby. Turn it down to 0.3 of a microvolt and switch the squelch to manual and threshold set. There we go. Switch the signal generator back on. I'll tell you what, it's straight in. It's 0.3 of a microvolt and disappearing off at 0.27. It's not got the best hysteresis, which is where it's following the squelch, but that's great. So we're not touching 103, which is which I believe to be auto squelch. I don't see any proof of that. So I think we're done. We need to put it back together. Well, I've just put it on the aerial and CPT AM. Remember, the aerial's connected through the umbilical cord. For those people who go, oh, you'll ruin your aerial radio with no aerial. Of course there's an aerial on it. Anyway, let's go into UK. Oh, we're not in the right mode, are we? Try again. We want to be back in UK. There we go. So, let's see whether the silly voices are on channel 19. One niner Roger. One niner Roger. So I've taken the Roger bleep off, which was on. So we'll do a on the air test with Mr. Chippy. I'll tell you what, I'll just flick round the CPT set of channels. So we know there's a lot of AM activity. We just heard it. So there's a bit of skip, you can hear it coming through. It's of no interest to me, I call that interference. It stops this band being usable for me. Okay, so there we have it, the Intek H520 Plus. I have done that before, but that one is now doing a lot better. I'm surprised how much we got more out of the receive, as well as bringing up the 2.4 watt transmit up to 3.6 watts. But the killer on this radio was the atrocious deviation of 1.4 kilohertz, which we've now brought up to the 2.2 to 2.5 mark. So if he sent the error with it, we'll do a field test. We can't if he hasn't, but I'll get Mr. Chippy later on to do an on the air test where we have it on the bench and he drives off as usual. So thanks for watching.